So I'm not going to be as funny as either of those two guys, just I'm really sorry for that. I'm Mary Glasgow, I work at Children First. I'm delighted to be here tonight, and I'm incredibly excited, if a little intimidated, to be speaking at this conference. The reason I'm excited is because I think, like many of us, I've spent a career in an industry that we've created that's probably done some harm. I suppose I think that this is a moment to dismantle that industry. I think it's a moment where we might be brave enough and courageous enough to accept some simple truths, that actually what happens to us when we're children affects us throughout our whole life. It's not that complicated. So I'm a social worker by profession. I've spent a long time in local authority social work. And one of those women that I was involved in once came for a walk with me just after we'd made a decision to remove her baby because she was at risk of physical injury, she was at risk of death. And we walked round Glasgow Green, and she said to me, she was a lovely woman, I had a great relationship with her, I was always a relational social worker, but I did do some stuff that I don't feel good about now. And as we walked round, she said to me, so Mary, this is after months and months of work, do you think I take drugs, drink too much, get into a series of relationships with men who treat me really badly and are violent toward me because I was sexually abused when I was a child? And at that moment, I looked at her and I said, I don't know, maybe, shall we talk about that? Will we spend some time exploring that? Now that baby still went into care and was adopted, but at that moment something happened for her. That big coat that she wore all the time when I used to see her at contacts and at children's hearings and in case conferences, big coat of shame, big coat of guilt and embarrassment and all those kind of things that you talked about, James, she kind of just took it off and she went, I understand the story of me. Maybe it's not because I'm a horrible person. Maybe it's not because I'm deliberately mean to my children. Maybe it's because loving children's not enough, and that what happened to me when I was a child didn't equip me with the type of skills, knowledge, experiences and relationships that I've needed to do my work. So for me, this is about all the reasons why I stepped away from local authority social work. I loved it. I loved working with people. But I was in an industry that was sometimes harsh and punitive. Nobody meant to be. I worked alongside some fantastic colleagues. I think sometimes I made a positive difference. But for me, this is an opportunity for us to take a cold, hard, long look at some of the mistakes that we've made. We've followed evidence over the last 10, 15, 20 years. In my view, it's been the wrong bleeding evidence. We see families at Children First and colleagues from other third sector organisations and education and social work will say the same. I see parents who've been through 8 versions of a parenting programme, the same parents who referred 8 times to the same parenting programme, and they come to us and there's a bit of me just wants to scream and shout and just say, what have we done? Because you cannot teach people how to manage behaviour or tantrums if they don't really understand how to love, if they don't really understand what child development and brain development looks like and what matters in that situation. And so for me, I just think we've got a chance here, a real opportunity, and I'm just so grateful to the people that have made this happen. We've got a massive, massive opportunity in Scotland to do things differently. We won't need to spend any more money. We won't need to employ any more people. We just need to reframe the industry. We need to go away from what's wrong with you, how are we going to fix you, toward what's happened to you. Can I just hear your story? Can I safely help you understand your story, name your feelings, hold them with you, and walk a bit along that journey towards what better might look like? If we can help children, and all of us, but start with children, to understand, to name and to share safely their own feelings, we will grow a nation that is not traumatised. Because right now I just see a nation of traumatised folk. Somebody was asking me about evidence, but where's the evidence that we need organisations like Children First? Where's the evidence? And I'm like, well, we could go to the prison, we could go to the psychiatric unit, we could go to wherever in the country, and we can see it everywhere. And the other point about it being everywhere is I spent a career working in Drumchapel and Pollock. I grew up in West Wales in Edinburgh, which is a bit like those communities. I've worked in Paisley, the murder capital of Europe at the time. Yesterday I was in Newton Mearns, and I was alongside our family wellbeing workers that sit in a GP surgery. And do you know what they're working on? They're not working on poverty. but they're working on emotional trauma. They're working on the same trauma that causes ACEs and Easter House and Drum Chapel and everywhere else. Family relationships that are broken. Trauma that's not been resolved, both and transmitted through generations. And families who are not able to share safely their feelings about each other. Not able to say, I love you. Not able to say, actually, I think it might be about me, not you. And they've been referred to GPs, and they get waiting lists. They get waiting lists for child and adolescent mental health services, and then they get labels. What they don't get are relationships to help them communicate better. And that's where I was yesterday. And we've never worked in a community like Newton Mears before. We've never been in East Renfrewshire before. Because if you look at the league tables for education, they're doing the best in the country. Yeah. But when you look at the psychiatric unit in Stop Hill, they regularly take up 9 places of the 15 psychiatric beds because of the pressure and anxiety that is placed on those children and the broken family relationships we need to address. So for me, this is that simple thing about it really is about all of us. It's about everybody. It's not about where you live. It's not about how much money you've got. It's not about the kind of aspirations that your parents had to you. It's about who loved you. Did they love you enough? Did they let you know that you were enough? And were they self-regulated enough to share that with you so that you were too? Yeah. And along with colleagues across the third sector, the first thing we do at Children First is we think about our own culture. What does our culture look like? What does a trauma-informed organisation look like? Because our staff are sitting alongside folk hearing about trauma every day, and what they're also doing is having their own trauma triggered every day. Yeah. So we've been spending the last 3 years thinking about what does a self-regulated, compassionate, kind workforce look like. And we do weird stuff. I bought a book about breathing and took it into a budget meeting to say, like, deep breaths, people, because we've only got this amount of money and there's this amount of need. And there's a board full of accountants that are going to want to know what we're spending our money on. Can we take a deep breath here, get self-regulated and make the right decisions for the children that we support? And that's what we need to do at government level. Poverty is a choice. It's a problem we can solve. The government can do something about that. ACEs are also a problem that we can solve if we want to. So for me, I'm slightly terrified and intimidated speaking at this conference alongside these folk. But do you know what? And Suzanne knows this. I don't like public speaking, but I feel an obligation to do it. I happen to have a job title that gives me an opportunity to take the voices of the children, the traumatised children that we support, in every room that I can. And this is going to be a pretty powerful room. And so I'll swallow that, bit that's probably about my own, insecurities and all the rest of it, and do my best to try and make sure that I bring the authentic, genuine voice and experience of the traumatised children and the traumatised parents that we support, and really advocate for trauma-informed services that are kind and compassionate. And a recognition that this thing where we used to think prevention started over here and recovery ended over here isn't a big long line. It's not a continuum, it's a circle. If we do recovery with parents, we do prevention for children. Yes. And that's the bit that I really want to get involved in a conversation about. And I just want us to have a riot on the day, a revolution that says, people, do not leave this room and do what you've done before. Let's do something really different. And it starts with the simple stuff. Kindness, compassion, and a recognition that we're all in it together. And at the end of the day, we're all human. Stuff's happened to us. And some of us survive it and some of us don't. And that's because of the relationships that are around us. So if we've got relationship-based, trauma-informed systems and services and professionals, I think we've got a real chance and a moment here to grasp something. So I'm really delighted, and it's brilliant to see you all here, and thank you very much.